Today we're talking about Modern Warfare 3's multiplayer beta, which is only a sliver of what's going to be available at launch. Obviously right now there's no camo grind. You're only able to go up to level 20. In the second weekend of the beta, you'll be able to go up to level 30. You're kind of only able to play it on PlayStation, so that excludes Xbox and PC. So there's a lot of variables, but I kind of give you my general thoughts on different things and provide feedback about the game. Some good, some bad, and some kind of a little bit too soon to tell how these things will fit in. If you enjoy the video, hit the like button. If you want to find your way back, make sure you are subscribed with notifications on. We will start with some of the bad things because there are a decent amount of them, even though the game is in a very good state where I'm having a lot of fun playing it. I got to play it early back in August as a content creator. Then I got to play it at COD Next live on stream. We got to play a couple hours of that. And then I've also played about 20 plus hours this weekend with this current version of the beta. So I got a decent amount of playtime. I'd say one of the biggest issues with the game currently is the bad visibility on teams and enemies. And I'm not sure exactly how they're going to address this. When I played this back in August, there was a different way that they were able to separate and make it easily discernible who was who when you were looking around, whether it was a teammate or an enemy. And hopefully they go back to that. A little bit of a very subtle outline so that if you could see someone, they couldn't necessarily blend in. And this would make it so that anyone could use pretty much any other character or operator skin, and it's not going to necessarily blend in the same way we're having that issue in Warzone with the Groot looking skin. Another issue that is very common with the game, but it only impacts certain weapons, I feel like, is the hit registration is pretty bad and inconsistent. I use the Bass B, and with this particular one at certain ranges, and you get 0 hit markers. It's just 0 bullet registration. Sometimes when you do a slide and you're in that attack stance, as part of that aim down sight, you're able to fire immediately portion if you're not running the perk that allows you to aim down sight while sliding. Sometimes the hit registration feels off, and I know obviously that isn't 100% accurate where your aim is, but if you're barrel stuffing, there should be some hit markers there. So I think they really got to dial whatever the hell is causing that in, because whether it's low bullet velocity or just connectivity or whatever, they got to dial that in, because it only seems to impact certain guns and in certain situations. So tighten up those outliers. In terms of movement, they've done some things to help speed up the game. Not like night and day difference in every case, but I think one of the issues that I think is really missing, especially from the Modern Warfare 2019 movement, is a basic bunny hop. And in that game, you can do like a triple bunny hop. If you jumped off a building, you had the right amount of lateral movement, you could probably do like 4 or 5 bunny hops. What I'm asking for or recommending that they try to incorporate in is a singular bunny hop. And this just allows for variety in gunfights, because right now you might want to slide cancel into a gunfight. You might want to just hold an angle. But you're not really able to jump because of the other part of the ADS that's a problem, which is the ADS penalty. And I know there's perks or a combination of perks and attachments that can help out with that, but if they improve that to be the way it works default, then you could have more dynamic fights. And we're going to get to the strafing part of it, which I thought would be significantly better with a perk called Stalker or Stalker perk, because we had that in previous Call of Duties, and that you felt like you were on skates sliding around. So that would be like the additions to the movement that would allow it to have a little bit more versatility in gunfights. Because the TTK is a little bit longer, you can actually have gunfights have to remain accurate as long as you're getting that bullet registration. I think the overall friendly footsteps are a little bit too loud. So there's instances where maybe you're running in a specific direction and the audio of the footsteps is loud enough where you feel like that's an enemy, so you start turning around. Obviously, they could be on the mini map or whatever, but you don't really have enough time to react if you're going to get shot in the back. You need to be turning around if you hear the footsteps. So I think they're a tad too loud in comparison to where they probably should be. Along with the audio, we have a little issue with the Guardian. They're just a bit too loud. And I think when they remove your HUD or whatever the case is, I think that's okay. But in hardcore, when that gets introduced at the beginning of the game, that's going to be an issue. You're going to be shooting teammates if you're ever in one of those Guardians. So something they can definitely address. I think the mantling, although it's improved, which we'll talk about, I think an issue with the mantling is when there's like a stairs or steps, you really can't jump up and mantle up on it when it's at an angle, like it's a stairs or slant. I think there's a little bit of a spawn delay in hardpoint, which I don't really care about in CDL, but I think in public matchmaking, I think it's something that should just accelerate the pace of the game. Hardpoint plays pretty well in this game, even though the spawns are busted in pretty much every mode, and they're kind of terrible, which is kind of expected with the beta, but they're particularly bad in this beta. But overall, I think a Hardpoint, despite the spawn delay, still feels pretty good mode to play. Another thing I think is a little bit of an issue is well, obviously we don't have the full setup of streaks, so people choose a lot of different streaks once the game officially comes out. But the support jug, or whatever the last one is called, currently in the beta, I think it's a little too powerful. And it's a little too easy to get. I think if you can camp a little bit, go on a little bit objective, you will be able to get this. If you're playing Kill Confirmed, you can get it very quick. And it's a little bit of annoying to play against. If somebody's not trying to get kills and they're just trying to be annoying, it's very annoying to deal with for how easy it is. So they either need to make it a little bit weaker or make it a little bit harder to get, at least in my perspective. They are doing disbanding lobbies, which is kind of a weird thing to do because sometimes you do get those rivalry aspect. Obviously, they do gotta control the matchmaking so dialed in that you do have skill-based matchmaking, which is a little bit unfortunate to have it so strong even in the beta. It's going to be at the full launch. Skill-based matchmaking is never going away from Call of Duty, so you're always going to have to run the meta or just not care about how well you do in a match or win or any of those types of things. Kind of either or. If you care, you're going to have to run the hard meta. If you don't care, then you're just going to go negative and lose matches all the time, or try and play in off-peak hours where the skill-based matchmaking is a little bit lower. Another missed opportunity is the original MW3 introduced the specialist bonus, and for whatever reason, they decided this isn't going to be part of it, at least to my knowledge. It may make it into the full build of the game, but currently it is kind of a shame that the MW3 that we know and love from way back when does not have the current feature in it. So that's kind of a lot of the negatives. I know I kind of speed ran those a little bit. There were quite a bit, but I wanted to focus on some of the good things because there are just as many good things that I think they've done. And then we can discuss kind of my thoughts on where it sits and if this could have just been an update in Modern Warfare 2, because I know that's a pretty common concern what a lot of people are talking about. And when it comes to multiplayer, we'll dive a little bit more into that, but let's get to the good stuff. So I think overall the weapons feel pretty good. It's clear that there's certain weapons that are a little bit strong in this beta. The Striker is one of those that you can beam people at ranges where rifles should excel, and they're kind of a little bit too good in this area. So I think obviously the balancing, and once all the weapons come in and then we get the Modern Warfare 2 weapons, there's going to be a variety of weapons that are going to be good. There's going to be a variety of weapons that are bad. But right now with so few options to choose from, people are really running the hard meta, especially combining with that skill-based matchmaking. But the weapons feel good, and part of that is the visual shake. A lot of that is gone. We're much closer to Modern Warfare 2019 version and Warzone 1 version than we were with Modern Warfare 2, which was all the visual shake, all the smoke, all the clutter, all the gas, everything on the screen, basically making it impossible to see your target when you're actually firing. So glad a lot of that's been addressed and improved upon, because when you're playing a first-person shooter, you want to be able to shoot your target, and that's like part of the gameplay loop that you want to get into gunfights and it feel rewarding. And I think they really managed to hit that point there. I like that you're able to cancel the reload. It's still a little bit hard getting into the muscle memory of actually thinking, yes, I should be able to YY in this scenario to drop my weapon and bring it back up and not have to do that other part of the reload animation. That is a pretty significant change in my opinion. But again, it's one of those things that a lot of these guns have smaller mags, so you're reloading because you don't have the bigger magazine yet. But I think as we get larger magazines, the muscle memory is going to be there where you're going to be able to reload cancel. I like that the traditional mini-map is back. Although like a lot of people think everyone just use suppressors, I've been playing the beta, like I said, for 20 plus hours, and people are not exclusively running suppressors because some of the drawbacks aren't necessarily worth it. So I think it's kind of in a good spot. We'll see how they continue to balance it, and as time goes on, how that adjusts, because that change was also made in Warzone. Map voting is back, but with only 3 maps, now 4 with Rust, you are kind of limited on what people are going to choose. We'll have to see once the full game comes out and kind of what the favorites are. There's no reason for them to have put a state in the beta. That's kind of like a little bit of depressing feel for the game. That wasn't a good map back in the day, and it's not a good map now, especially with the way the systems are built, the spawns and all that stuff. So I think There are some misses, but I guess they didn't give us all the good stuff right up front, and we'll get more stuff as obviously when the game comes out. One other thing that they haven't mentioned, but maybe you've noticed, is flashes work off of line of sight. So if somebody throws a flash and it lands behind you, it's not going to go ahead and make your screen white. If you go ahead and turn away from the flash as it goes off, you will not get flashed, and then you'll be able to get back into the gunfight. Obviously, it's a little bit more small, subtle change, but it is definitely a positive change, at least in my opinion. And then we have the slide cancel being improved upon. Obviously, it's not like what we had in Modern Warfare 2019, but I'm pretty sure the feedback has been fairly universal on people not really wanting this delay after. Obviously, it's not going to reset your attack sprint. You don't really need it. I think the attack sprint comes back pretty quickly. It lasts longer. A lot of those good things are about the movement. But when you go into a slide cancel, it just has a little bit of delay. It's at least easier to slide cancel in this game because all you need to do is slide and then press jump. It's a 2-button combo, not a 3 or 4 or whatever, depending on if you're going to ADS and all that stuff. Makes it super easy to do, so everyone can do it. And then it's just that little bit of a 200 millisecond delay when you're trying to stand up, or maybe even a little bit longer when you're trying to sprint, even just sprint, not tag sprint, basic sprint. So hopefully they dial that in, because that's leading to a little bit of clunkiness, which you don't want a Call of Duty to have clunkiness associated with it. So hopefully they can dial that in. Mantling has been sped up when you do multiple mantles consecutively. There's not a lot of situations where that, but in general, you might climb a box to climb into a window. You might climb into a box to climb another box. That has been significantly sped up, and your weapon comes up that much faster. So that's a huge change. Then we got the 150 health, which I think significantly improves the overall feel of the game. They lowered the headshot multiplier. I think I saw Exclusive Ace mention that it's a 1.2 instead of a 1.5, at least for a lot of the weapons he was able to check out. So that's a huge W. That's kind of normalizing it back to where we've had it. So you get very consistent TTKs, and guns kill in pretty much the same number of shots most of the time, unless you get multiple headshots. So I think that's a really good spot. I think some of the inconsistencies with bullet registration do throw this off, where you might feel like you get deleted and then you aren't deleting them because of bullet registration. They may be using a different gun that is actually connecting. If you're trying something different, you're going to be in a bad spot. I still think they need to tune some stuff, because some of the SMGs kill way too fast at range, and the rifles, you know, they can keep them exactly where they're at, right? Because the balance would be balanced out there. They need more drop-offs for the S. The gear, I think, is a good system. I think it offers trade-offs with you being able to run extra pieces of gear, almost like a wild card thing. I know some people might have wanted it to be cosmetic based, but I think it's just straightforward. They are perks at the end of the day. You don't need to really overthink it. They allow you to kind of build certain combinations that fit your playstyle. And again, like I said, there are trade-offs. I do like trade-offs in a creative class where you're not able to get jack of all trades of basically builds. And it just kind of brings me back to one of my favorite creative classes, which is Pick 10 from Black Ops 2 when that was first introduced. So I enjoy that system because of that. Unfortunately, in this system, you still get lethals and tacticals with most of them. So it's not quite as good or limiting as that, especially since we're getting 5 attachment weapons. But it is what it is. It is a step in the right direction, at least in my opinion. And then an introduction with this game was something new, is the aftermarket parts. So aftermarket parts, I think, are a pretty cool concept. We really only have one with the Renetti. We saw a couple other examples. I'm not really liking that these will probably be on a weekly overturn where you got to do these challenges weekly. Probably a quick one to get it. Now, let's get into my general thoughts. So I would say that based off where we're at with the changes they've made, there's not like totally significant differences if we look at any one of these individual things. A lot of these things, definitely, if you're only a multiplayer player and you never play the campaign, you're not going to play the zombies, you never play Warzone, you have zero interest in DMZ, you don't have any interest in any of the other content that's associated with this, the seasons, the battle passes, with all the other junk, then I would say that potentially this could have been an update to Modern Warfare 2. Like, that is the only way. If you basically factor out everything, right? Where they could have just updated the game and then provided some DLC content. I think it's definitely, like, individually, when you combine them all, it's a pretty cool package what they've kind of delivered, and I think they'll eventually improve upon by the time we get the game. It'll feel even better, dialed in. They'll probably make some changes by weekend 2. So there's a lot for them to work with. Overall, I think it's a better game, more fun, and a lot of the systems that I've been wanting and asking for and complaining about since Modern Warfare 2019 are basically in this build. So I'm happy for the most part. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the beta. If you haven't had a code, I think we're going to get some more codes this weekend for the early access for PC as well as Xbox, and then we're going to have the open access, so you'll be able to get those unlockable. So let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section. Are you enjoying it? Are you enjoying what you're seeing, the direction of it? Do you like what's going on? Let me know. We'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. As always, have a great day.